Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. If you like edgy kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And a big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. Use the promo code Sinister, get 10% off all of your purchases. We desperately can't say how much fun we're having in this new game that we're playing in. It's Critical Failures. It's Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern Time. We have the link in the description. Check us out. A lot of good people having a lot of good fun. Definitely subscribe and check them out as well. They do it live, and then the videos come up afterwards. So definitely check it out. You'll be able to see me play alongside a great group of people that I can't express how joyful it is to hang out with them and play every week. Without that out of the way, we're going to talk about D&D and player versus player combat. So for a little bit of context, we just finished off playing our Critical Failures game last night, the second episode. And things are ending off in kind of a PvP scenario. It's me and another comrade who have now turned on the party against their own, for reasons I don't want to spoil too much. But now we're in a situation where we're fighting the rest of the party. Our guide has fallen, and things are looking grim for certain other people in the campaign. So, how do we handle this? What do you do when this occurs? Our DM is wonderful in the context that he knows us as players well enough to know that we love this. Not because we're trying to power game something or something malicious. No matter how our builds go or what our characters do or how, even if some of the characters seem very optimized, everyone there is very strong, enveloped in the story and the characters. So they understand that meaning, and that kind of really comes through first. Because of that, there's a lot of we're a pretty heavy role play party. I'm a heavy role player anyway. That's kind of what I live for. So that in context puts us in this real interesting scenario of how we're handling this. I want to go into discussion about why we feel it works, why we're excited about it, why there's no hard feelings, and why things are just kind of evolving in a healthy way for us. So first and foremost, I tend to dislike the small races. Again, I say it all the time, but if you actually watch the stream, I am currently in a situation with a small folk. One of the things to note that I think is really important is we have a tremendous respect for each other's characters and each other as players. I can't tell you how hyped I get just to know that we're gonna play. And it's because of the quality of the people and the quality of the effort that they put into what they're doing. And there's a tremendous amount of respect for each other. Some characters or some players I just happen to be very, very closer to, and sometimes I'll take a little bit more liberties with doing things with them. Because again, I feel that certain times you just gravitate and certain people meld easier than others. So with those kinds of characters, it's easier for me to take more of an action to. But again, everything goes into respecting the other player. Like I don't want to kill anybody's character. But if it comes to that, there's always an agreement. There's talks throughout this whole thing beforehand of go kind of where we left off, and the PvP isn't finished. It will be finished next session. There's going to be a lot of talks in between everyone involved that, like, if this goes this way, how do you feel about that? And that all kind of happens behind the scenes, but those conversations are in process, so that way everybody knows, everybody understands, and how they feel about it. I think it's important to note that. And that's a big part of the respect. The way the characters are, I don't think anyone's main purpose is to TPK half the party, or any circumstance of that. There's reasons why, and I get it's kind of caught into the story, so I can't really get too much in depth with that. But it's important to note that we take the story very, very seriously, and have a lot of respect for the world and the campaign around us, and we understand that these are consequences to the things we're doing and actions we're taking. And because of that, we set this good groundwork for it's plausible why this is happening. And a huge part of that comes from the DM being able to work everything in a kind of a way that's subtle, that's important, that like it really connects the world to having consequences to what we do. And because of that, we're in a situation where we're facing that. And how we react is really what's kind of pulling this the way it is. So, combat started. A couple of rounds have been taken, but unfortunately the session had to be cut short, so we will be picking it up next time. The goal, depending on who you are, is ultimately to stop anyone who is not on kind of your side. So currently it's 2v3, kind of. But I imagine that might change pretty quickly. We just finished off a fight, so some people are hurt. Certain circumstances are isolating others. And there's still some other enemies that are circling around. So how this is going to turn around, it kind of depicts on how the way the roles work and what we can do to kind of change that. In the interim, I'm going to try and destroy my party or the people that I'm fighting. Not the whole party, because it's kind of split a little bit. But it's not a feeling of there's dislike or distrust with anyone in the party, and that's what makes this so much easier to do, because they can do whatever they have to win this fight. It doesn't have to end up in murdering everyone, because we can just knock them out and make them unconscious and just move on from that. But it really comes down to respecting how other characters are. There are some characters in the party that if I go down, I expect them to hit me when I'm down and end my character's life. And if they don't do that, I'm going to be disappointed. I love my character, I do. And I understand what it's like being on the opposite side. Like, sometimes you're just like, oh my god, please, if I'm going to go down, just let me go down so I have a chance of coming back up. But if you're that kind of a character, then I expect that. And I love the characters in the group that I'm playing with. I tend to fall very quickly in love with the characters that I'm playing with, because I really like the players that I'm playing with. But I don't want them to not be who they are. And if I go down, I expect one or two of them to do what has to be done, or to do the right thing, not to expect that they can somehow rectify the situation. I expect them to act how their character would. And I expect that other players, and this will kind of be discussed as we go forward, behind the scenes against. You really probably won't hear or see anything like this. But this is just so everyone understands who the character is, in case they're not sure what to expect. And we kind of mitigate that and make sure we're all okay with things like that. Obviously, our DM is fully aware of the kind of characters we have, and who he kind of expects to do what. But the important thing is that we want the characters to be the characters. We don't want them to pull punches and to do something they wouldn't do. And if my character goes down, I want him to go down because he was taken care of the way the other characters did, and somebody didn't pull a punch for my character, because then that shows the dedication to the game, to the character, and to the seriousness. Like, it's all fun and games when you're joking around, but if you don't take the world seriously, there's a big disconnect in how the gameplay works, and that you have to take the whole world seriously, basically, at all times. This is serious. This is not, this is not something that's just like oh yeah, no, it's cool, don't worry about it. This is going to dynamically change things. And if everyone survives, the role-playing conversation that's going to happen afterwards is, I can just taste it. It's going to be so good. But it all coincides to respecting the game. And when you respect the game, you respect the decisions that people have made, even your own decisions, and you stick through with your character. And you make that work in with what you're doing and make it, this is who they are, this is the choice that they would make. Oh, I don't want to do it. But I'm going to hold true to the character. And I think that's something that makes games great. I tend to be disappointed if a character who is one way just makes a complete 180 and there isn't kind of a reasoning behind it. I get it if it's like a circumstance where they're fighting the person that they love and they decide not to murder them. Like, great, like, I get it. You're a murderous tyrant. That's kind of what you do. And this is the one time you didn't because you actually cared this much about that person. I get it. That makes sense. But keep true to your characters. It's important, and I think it makes a great continuity. One of the things to note is how to avoid going too far. Obviously, you don't want to feel like you're... Nobody makes a character that desecrates a corpse. Let me explain that. Even a necromancer. So a lot of respect for the character comes to what happens. If characters end up dying. If that's the case. Obviously, these are your friends. You know what I mean? Don't grab their corpses and dismember them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, that's going above and beyond. Keeping in tandem with who the character is and your character's relationship with that character. You want to respect what's happened. So you want to make sure not to make it too gratuitous. That's still someone's creation. It's still someone that you care about's creation. If you're going to do a killing blow and you get that like critical roll, how would you like to do this? Put some respect on that. Show them appreciation for your character. Make it clean. Make it respectful. You know, obviously this isn't. I'm just going to keep bashing his head into the wall until it pops. It's going to be something that should be a little respectful of the moment. It's not glorious, and it shouldn't be glorified. You should do it in a way that's almost like, you know, truthful. You know, if you have all your mental faculties and you've been traveling with this whole group of people and now you have to murder them, remember the good times. You know what I mean? Like, don't try and be over the top with it. Because again, that's someone's creation that they put a lot of hard work and effort into it. Again, if my character goes, I want them to do it in a way that's fair. I don't want to be left in shattered pieces all over the place unless they did something dynamic to do it. Like if you tied me up to like a sequence of dynamite and blew me up, yeah, like I'm gonna feel sad about it, but I would want to go out like my character is a soldier. I want to die like a soldier, if that's what's gonna happen, and I want my friends to at least have some sort of connotation of how that should be, as they similarly have known combat and things like that. And I think it's unique to keep that kind of thing together, because that's a great way to show respect the whole way. Keep in mind, it's a very interesting disconnect when you're not playing just from a mechanical point of view. When you're just looking at numbers and tactical routes and how you do this and how you do that and the most optimal way to get something done. What if they run? What if your friends run? How do you go about chasing them? Do you chase them? Do they set up a circumstance where you can't chase them? And what happens if that's a sequence? I enjoy the story and the roleplay aspects of D&D so much that if the circumstances change and my character and the other characters get separated and they leave, in my mind the story is more important than me getting what I want. So what I would do is I would just gift the character to the DM and let him take it as an NPC and do whatever he wants with it and start a new character. And the reason why I say this, obviously I want to play my character all the way through and see what happens because everything's so exciting right now. But what's most important is the story and how we evolve. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. I care so much about the role-playing aspect. I want to see the story flow out, and I don't want to see anyone else go. So if someone else had to go and it was just one person that had to go, I'm always going to volunteer. But I want it to be purposeful. This isn't something that's happening because we just felt like it. This is something that happened as a result to decisions that were made, and that were really exciting. And the whole time, and if you watch the stream, you'll see it. But if you don't, and if you find yourself in a situation where this does happen, try and appreciate how you got there. And try and understand why your character did those things, because in the instant it might have been like, oh yeah, you know what, I'll just do this, and I'll not worry about it. But as things have continuously progressed from that point, maybe other things contributed, and understand why your character did that, and understand how that affects the story going forward. PvP is not something that a lot of DMs allow, and it's pretty obviously the reasonings. People take it personal. People deliberately go out and kill each other's characters. People do it for no reason. They just jump into it just because, oh, I disagree with your actions. You're going to suffer this wrath. And that's not the right attitude. A lot of the things in the story kind of get lost in the outside look of the world. Obviously, we see it. It's a fantasy setting. These things are set in a time long before any of us, in a world that we don't fully comprehend, that we're kind of just making current connections to the modern era. So understand, being an adventurer takes a big risk. Being an adventurer means you left everything behind. And also, if you fought one sequence of goblins and you lived at level 1, you understand how much you rely on the people that are next to you. So even if they did something that you didn't agree with, they saved your life, and they were part of the reason why you have been alive for this long. That is something that's important when you're in circumstances when you have disagreements within party members. A lot of the PvP ends up with fights between characters over things that are just not worth it, or things that aren't what they really are. Sometimes characters don't get along. I get it. I've had characters hate my guts, and I kind of deserve it. I've had them dislike my characters right from Jump Street, and I get it. Some people are like oil and water, and sometimes their characters reflect that. But there still needs to be a certain respect between them. You're playing a game for fun, and when you take such hardline actions with your party, it tends to cause circumstances that tend to lead towards the negative side of PvP, which is why people get their characters killed for no reason. You can take that hard line with NPCs. Anyone in the story that the DM has, you can just straight out not like them and attack them on sight if that's what you feel is necessary. But your party members are there to work to the same goal, and they themselves are part of the reason why you're alive, why you've survived. And even if you're new to an adventuring group, you've definitely adventured at some point or another point, or something brought you where you needed to fight for your survival and someone helped you. You understand what that means. That is a serious thing when someone fights alongside you. And if they fight alongside you for a long period of time, there is a connection there, a respect, even if you disagree with that character. So jumping right to PvP in any kind of situation like that isn't what you want. That's what causes turmoil. That's what causes problems within the party. That's what causes these problems to spill out to outside of the table, and that's where real issues occur. If PvP is going to happen, it should make sense. It should be something that the characters understand and are willing to do as their own personal choice. And if you don't have the kind of table that can do that, don't. Just don't. But if you trust the people there, that they're going to do what's in the best interest of your character and the campaign, then you might be able to take some of the training wheels off and let them go and create the story how they would. Circumstances are interesting when it comes to PvP. And I've been a victim of that negative PvP, and I tried everything to do everything the right way, and it still fell apart, and it creates animosity, and it makes you angry, and it makes you want to create a character just out of revenge and ruin the campaign. It can make me very petty. I don't like being petty, but I'm very good at being very petty, and you don't want that. You want it to feel like it makes sense, like it's good, like it's the right thing. And the group I'm currently in has that capability and has shown it over the times, over the many years we've been playing together. There's a lot of joy and respect and love and appreciation for the story. And that's where all of this comes into and connects to. And that is all because of how the DM runs everything, and how the players interact, and it's a communal thing. You want that to be the end result, is a good story. And if it happens that PvP happens, if that group keeps that same mentality the whole time, it won't be an issue. I'll tell you right now, if everyone turns code on me, just me, and decides to end it, I get it. But I respect it, and I'm still going to be so excited to play with these people next time. Because it's not because they did anything against me personally, it's because of the way the story evolved. And that really has to work out in kind of like almost a perfect storm scenario, or you end up in this horrible situation where people are just going to start killing each other for no reason. And once that happens one time in your game, that door is always open. And if you shut it as a result, it changes the way the game feels completely. So, with all that said and done, if you're going to do PvP, make sure you're in the right group that can handle it. Make sure you have a DM that's understanding of the importance of the continuity and the strength of the story and the respect of the story. Understand that your party members are capable of handling that, are willing to do it, and are okay with the story going that far. Making sure you keep respect to a certain level, so you're not going above and beyond to hurt anyone in particular, or to just decimate their character because you might not have been on the same page or anything like that. And don't do anything that your character wouldn't do. If your character's never spared anyone before, unless this is like an alignment changing scenario, let your character be who they are. And everyone will still respect you for it, because it's a tough choice to make, but it's the truest choice that your character can make, and that's really important to the story. And also, be prepared to be on the side that doesn't win. That's really, really important. Understand that, my side might not win. I might be a bigger problem that might have to be focused first. I might be that person that, even if everyone else on my side lives, I don't. Be prepared for that. And if you can't do that, if it really upsets you, if it really bothers you, know that from here on out, PvP is not your thing. Maybe you can do something to end it or cause it to stop. But again, if it's made it that far, it's depending on your party and on the story, it might be better to write it out. That you have to weigh yourself, and every group is different, every campaign is different, even if it's the same one written out. And take those chances, because this is why we play the game. That being said, check us out, Critical Failures. The link is in the description. Also, it's live streamed Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern Time. Big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And a big thank you to our good friends at Dice Legion. Use the promo code Sinister. Get 10% off all of our purchases. And thank you for giving a Spooky Kid a chance.